Hi there, I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to the 594th and final edition of Wind Tunnel. Next week, this network will become Fox Sports 1, so tonight marks the end of our 10-and-a-half-year run. And I find myself fondly remembering the viewer who emailed in after watching Show 1, quote, "Despain, you're just a big old self-centered TV windbag." All right, guilty as charged. But apparently there was a market for that, and for that, I have you tunnelheads to thank. If you folks hadn't kept watching all these years, we'd have quickly been out of business. You have my deepest appreciation. I also owe a great debt of thanks to all the hardworking members of the Wind Tunnel staff. They're bright, talented, knowledgeable, and motivated. They're going to excel in whatever they choose to do next. Tonight, we're going to reflect a bit on the past, spend a few minutes with Bob Barsha, Robin Miller, and Jeff Gordon, all of whom have played important parts in our little success story. And we begin at the beginning, Friday night, February 21st, 2003, when we outlined the mission for this new show called Wind Tunnel. To all of you who emailed and blasted us for putting another NASCAR show on the air before we ever hit the air, let me try to help you understand. It is not a NASCAR show. It is not a kart or IRL show. It is not a motorcycle, world rally, sprint car, sports car, demo derby, monster truck, or lawnmower racing show. And by the way, what could this network possibly have been thinking when we got rid of that lawnmower racing? Now, the point is that we are going to talk about any and all of the above if you want. But I certainly hope we're not going to talk about any one thing all of the time. Okay, here we are 11 years on. I think we've established a pretty good record for covering the broad spectrum of motorsports. But if you want proof, consider the incredible group of racing guests who have generously given us their time. Hey, Speed, nice to have you here.
Hi, Dave.
I'm interviewing a cartoon character.
There's a party going on all night long. Come and celebrate with me tonight. Put your glass in the air like you just don't care. Let's toast one last time, last time, last time.
Allow me to interrupt you for a second. I have Mr. Kendall here. Thank you.
Go ahead and call me Richard. You ain't the only one.
Dave, it's always a pleasure to talk to you the night after the 500, my man.
There he is right here.
Just put 'em up. Y'all know what's up. Gonna put 'em up, yeah. Y'all know what's up. There's a party going on all night long. Come and celebrate with me tonight. Put your glass in the air like you just don't care. Let's toast one last time, time.
Enjoy your show. It's a lot of fun watching. Nobody can do it like you do it.
I hope you tell him.
Under no circumstances should people believe that I hate Robin Miller.
That's a little tight.
Are we clear?
I want to be on Wind Tunnel for a number of years.
Thanks, Dave.
How about that?
I think tonight might be the big night.
Now that is a star-studded firmament of racing greatness. Our thanks to every one of them, along with a terrific lineup of speed announcers, reporters, expert analysts who have given us their time and offered their insights. One of those especially dear to our hearts. Alas, tonight is the final time we'll hear this.
It's a Robin Miller night. It's a Robin Miller night.
You see, fellas? I knew they'd get Robin Miller.
I'm not sure who that is.
That's the guy who hates everything.
That guy? Oh, him. I love him. Oh, I just love balding middle-aged men. Oh, is he wearing that loud sweatshirt? Hey, isn't this the paper that fired Robin Miller?
Loser.
Yay, Robin Miller, Robin Miller!
I still laugh every time I see it. Robin Miller coming up, along with Bob Barsha, Jeff Gordon, and cameo appearances by a who's who of motorsports.
Wind Tunnel is a racer's show. It's where we went to find out and educate a look at what happened in other forms of motorsports. And my weekends weren't complete without watching Wind Tunnel.
I think it's one of the best TV fan, race fan participant shows that the sport's ever seen.
Definitely one of the best shows as far as being informative about every discipline. Sunday night, that was a religious stop for me.
Don't start.
Let me tell you something. I may hit you in the nuts. Did you hit your head when you were bull riding? Yeehaw! How in the hell do you practice a monster truck? Would you fly with Jack Roush? I learned from the best how to be grumpy. Milk a who? I'm going Sizzler. What do I got to do? It's a Sunday night. It's a Wind Tunnel. After I get fired here, I'll need a job. What's wrong with me?
Miller, that's a great question. What is wrong with you?
Been hanging around racetracks all my life. No excuse.
Elaborate on that. We're in a reflective mood tonight. Tell us about the path that led you to this final episode of a canceled TV show.
Well, think about it. I've been watching racing for 50 years. I've been writing about it for 45. For the last 15, I've been on various television shows, even though I've got a face for radio. I got to drive midgets in USAC for 8 or 9 years. I got to be in Indy 500 pit crews. You don't have to tell me about how great my life has been. I understand when you can combine your job and your passion, it's very rare. But other than that, I think the other thing that's really been good about my life, the last 10 years here on Wind Tunnel, because you've given me a forum to help promote promising kids like A.J. Allmendinger, Danica Patrick, Kyle Larson, but also give me time to reminisce about my buddy Jim Hurtubise, Bentley Warren, and Andy Granatelli. Now, you know I can't read a teleprompter. We've been over that. But I appreciate you letting me share this desk, telling stories, pointing out the good, bad, and the ugly of racing. But I really feel bad for the fans of sports cars, midgets, sprints, dragsters, motorcycles, and Indy cars, because there's no more Wind Tunnel. It joins Motor Week Illustrated, Speed Week, RPM Tonight, and Speed News in the television graveyard.
Graveyard Hell, that's the Racing TV Hall of Fame. One last thing, I can't imagine you showed up here after this cynical life without some hatred in your heart.
Got a lot of hate. I hate the way ABC ruins an IndyCar race. I hate Michael Waltrip's act. The fact that nobody recognizes Scott Dixon on the street. I hate spotters. I despise the talking heads in NASCAR that scream and rave about a driver that's 15th having a great run. I hate the fact USAC's still a well-kept secret. I hate saving fuel. I hate the fact Phoenix and Elkhart Lake aren't in IndyCar schedules. I really hate paddle shifters. I despise those 10-lap cushions for toe-in.
But let's not leave it on such a down note. It's our last show. There must be something you still love about racing.
Well, I love the Chili Bowl. I love having lunch with Koonsman, Poncho, Merle and Gary Bentonhausen, the Big Bopper, Bubby Jones, Steve Chassie, Bill Vukovich, hearing their lies every Friday. I love midgets and sprint cars on dirt cars. And most of all, I love calling Dan Gurney or Parnelli Jones in the middle of the day on a Tuesday just talking about the old days.
You know, Miller, I think actually your life turned out okay. Thank you for everything, and happy birthday, Parnelli Jones.
80 years young tomorrow, oldest 500 winner. Thanks, Rufus.
With that, I want to bring in a guy I've been fortunate enough to call colleague and friend since long before Wind Tunnel. Bob Varsha, welcome to the finale. Remind all these tunnel heads how this all started for you, and maybe give us a little perspective on your 30 years in the racing TV business.
Well, Dave, it has been a long road, and it all began for me back in the day in the early 80s when I was asked to begin contributing to a show called Motor Week Illustrated, hosted by some guy named Dave Despain. The stars back then were guys like Bill Elliott, Kenny Bernstein, Bobby Rahal, and K.K. Rosberg. And now here we are watching their sons carve out careers of their own. Can the time have passed that quickly? And what have we learned along the way? Well, for one thing, we've learned that no record is unbeatable. We watch drivers such as John Force, Steve Kinzer, Michael Schumacher, and Tom Christensen shatter records once considered unbeatable. And we can be sure that their achievements will be eventually surpassed by others. We've seen tremendous progress in safety, from the tracks to the cars to the driver's equipment, including what I consider to be the single most significant safety innovation of the last 3 decades, the Hans device. Sadly, we've also learned that racing can never be made completely safe, and some of my most vivid memories are of racers I came to know before we lost them, including giants such as Dale Earnhardt, who once told me he looked forward to racing at Le Mans someday. And of course, there's Ayrton Senna. On a different note, we've learned that racing is not immune to the swings of the economy, and that there's such a thing as a ticket too expensive for the average fan, whose patience can also be stretched beyond breaking by indifferent superstars, blatant self-interest, or short-sighted rules. We learned that racing talent on both sides of the pit wall comes in both male and female form and in a variety of ethnicities. It took a while to get from Janet Guthrie and Wendell Scott to Danica Patrick and Lewis Hamilton. Hopefully the pace will pick up in the years ahead. Of course, it goes without saying that Wind Tunnel explored these and other subjects on a weekly basis. And now as Tunnel rides off into the sunset, we can be sure that the sport will go on even without guys like Despain and Miller and Varsha. But as I see it, the worst case scenario is we can go back to what we were doing before anybody paid us to go cover motor racing. We'll go sit up in the grandstands, watch and cheer, and yeah, bitch a little bit. because it's the sport we love. It's been a great ride, Dave.
Now, that is exactly the kind of Varsha viewpoint I've loved listening to for these many years, Bob. Thank you for that. Thank you for all your contributions to Wind Tunnel. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. It's been an honor.
And now Wonder Boy waits in the wings. Jeff Gordon next on Wind Tunnel.
I hate to see anything come to an end, especially something with value and impact. And Dave Despain brought that to the show. He gave a true interview. He said things that would make you mad, and he used to put me on the tire in the early days before I learned how to stay calm. But he always spoke the truth.
There were times I was talked about on the show in detail that I didn't care for, but that's just, you know, the depth and honesty that Dave has in what the show's about. But, man, that's a bummer. I'm going to miss the show.
Many times, who's your favorite all-time Wind Tunnel interview? Most often the answer is Jeff Gordon. Why? Yeah, a lot of reasons why. But in the end, I think the memories speak for themselves.
What was that Jeff Gordon did?
Don't get the kind-hearted ones, Dave. That's not why I come on this show.
I got bad news for you, buddy.
He shoved a driver and kept his helmet on.
You know what we're going to do now, right?
What is that on Jeff Gordon's face?
You may now diss the bride.
What do you do that makes her mad?
He's sitting next to a hot blonde.
Victoria.
Just for the record, I've been set up.
Brilliant!
Oh, and that's embarrassing. Okay.
Yeah, we have had a lot of fun with Jeff Gordon over the years, and I'm pleased to have him as our final guest this evening. Jeff Gordon, welcome to the finale of Wind Tunnel. Nice to have you on board.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. It's bittersweet. You know, I'm a big fan of the show and have really enjoyed not only watching you and hearing your thoughts and opinions over the years, but being on the show has been a real pleasure. So thank you for allowing me to be on the finale show.
Our last interview. I know you're a look ahead kind of guy. You're still driving for 5, but for obvious reasons, we're feeling a little nostalgic and reflective tonight. So let me ask you this. Accepting Ingrid and Ella and Leo, focusing instead strictly on racing, what's the best thing that ever happened to you in your life?
Wow. I mean, so many things that I think transpired to get me to the Cup Series. If I had to pick one single moment, it would be the inaugural Brickyard 400. Just an amazing, you know, event, accomplishment, and moment in my life that I'll never forget.
I'm wondering what advice you would give a young driver in the same shoes you were filling 20-odd years ago if they wanted to pursue the same kind of career that you have.
It's such an interesting question that you hit me at an interesting time. I just was in Knoxville watching the Knoxville Nationals, and I spoke to Kyle Larson's parents, and we were comparing, you know, stories with my stepfather and our path versus Kyle Larson's path, and it is definitely different. You know, I mean, I wouldn't put my son in a sprint car 13 or 14 years old. Yet that was one. That was one of the, you know, key moments in my career. Was it could have gone either really bad or, like it did, go really good. Luckily, there are a lot of different paths to go, and the question that was raised to me was, would you put them in a, you know, a mini sprint or a sprint car and get the dirt experience? And I say absolutely. I think dirt experience is key to finding real talent and building those skills that it takes to go on and be one of the top drivers in any series. Now, should you stay there for very long? I don't think you should. Can you go back and do it every once in a while? Absolutely.
I remember how much fun you had in that trading paint episode with Juan Pablo Montoya. And so I'm wondering, what if, when you went looking for an IndyCar ride, what if you had found one? What are the chances that you might have followed the Juan Pablo Montoya career path, won the Indy 500, and wound up in Formula One?
Whew. Boy, that's a lot of dreaming. You know, as a kid growing up, I dreamed about the Indianapolis 500. That never happened. It's fun to think about because driving that Formula One car was right next to the inaugural Brickyard 400. Driving that Formula One car is a highlight in my life for me. That experience of feeling what a race car can do like that blew my mind. I have mixed emotions on it, but boy, would I have liked to have gotten that opportunity. But I also think, I look back, I like to be competitive. I like to win. It's not always about what kind of car I'm in. It's about the opportunity to go out there, be a part of the team, and help that team go to victory lane. And that's why I think NASCAR has been so great for me, is because I've been able to have an amazing opportunity to win a lot of races, and ultimately, you know, that's been the greatest joy for me.
Since we learned that Wind Tunnel would be coming to an end, I've been thinking a lot about my bucket list, which leads me to ask you, what is on the Jeff Gordon bucket list? What do you want to do in your life that you haven't had the opportunity to do yet, primarily because you've been so busy racing?
Well, you know, my good friends and family that know what I'm into lately, they would tell you that I'm a bit of a stargazer. I got this idea where I wanted to get a telescope, and I got a pretty big telescope, and I saw Saturn for the first time through my own telescope, and I was blown away by it. So there's no doubt it would be something, you know, in outer space, or something, you know, that kind of, whether it be looking at outer space through this incredible telescope that they're building down in Chile or Peru, or the one that's in Hawaii, or actually getting to travel, you know, and feel weightlessness, you know, and look at things from a different perspective. I think that would be pretty amazing. At your age, I think there's still time for you to enjoy the benefits of commercial space flight. An interesting twist in this, our final conversation. I
Jeff
bet
Gordon?
You didn't know that one was coming. You didn't know that one was coming, Dave.
When you said stargazing, I thought you were like stalking Lady Gaga or something. Hey, it's been great fun over the years.
That was the one I couldn't. That was the one I couldn't share with you. Sorry.
Fair enough. It's been a lot of fun over the years, Jeff. Thank you very much once again for your time. Continued success in anything you would choose to do in your long and glorious future. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, stick around for the final edition of Eye Candy.
The cool thing about the Wind Tunnel show is that it wasn't about cup racing. It wasn't about IndyCar racing. It wasn't about Formula One. It's just about racing.
It's kind of been the center for racing news. You know, Sunday night, that's what everybody did, was you sat down, whether you were racing or not, and you watched Wind Tunnel.
When I wanted the inside scoop of what's going on across the country or the world in motorsports, always tune into Wind Tunnel. I'm going to miss it, and let me tell you something, there's a piece of all of us leaving with that show. We love you, Dave.
Hyperbole, but sadly most of all
indeed. But now it's time to turn out the lights, and I hope you're not expecting some flowery farewell speech with a tear in my eye. Come on. In this business, a 10.5-year run, having the kind of fun we've relived here tonight, that's reason to celebrate, not feel sorry. So I'm not going to cry in my beer because another TV show has run its course, nor am I announcing my retirement. I'll do NASCAR Race Hub now and then through the end of the year, and then go looking for some new ways to have racing fun, even if it's just riding my motorcycle out to the local short track and buying a ticket. The key word is fun. The best I can do in closing the wind tunnel era is give you one bit of advice based on 50 years of hanging around racetracks. Racing is fun. It's supposed to be fun. That's the whole idea. So keep it that way. And in that vein, we'll close the wind tunnel circle by recalling the very last moment in the very first episode, a reminder that racing fun goes on no matter how the world changes around us. The week of our first show, the Department of Homeland Security told Americans their best protection from terrorist chemical attack was tape shut their doors and windows. The result was a crisis for racing. We take you back one more time to the birth of Wind Tunnel.
That's it. That's your first edition of Wind Tunnel. I hope you'll go to speeddv.com. Tell us what you thought about it, and then come back next week and see how we've tweaked it. And I want to leave you with one thing. When last week's bioterrorism scare triggered that national duct tape shortage, I was happy that a lot of folks saw the obvious. Expecting this stuff to protect you from al-Qaeda cooties is a lot like the government telling us kids back in the 50s that if someone dropped an A-bomb in the neighborhood, we should duck and cover. But I am worried about racing. If there's going to be a run on 200-mile-an-hour tape every time Tom Ridge goes to DEFCON 3. No sweat for the Cup guys, $10 million. They'll find a way to tape up for qualifying. But what about Bullring Billy out there with the late model fenders flapping, and a roll of this stuff is the only thing between him and the black flag, and he doesn't have any. If you can afford it, do this. When your local short track cranks up, en route to opening night, swing by Lowe's or Home Depot. If they have duct tape, buy a roll. During driver introductions, chuck it right on over the fence toward somebody who looks like they'll need it soon. Cast your duct tape on the racing waters, and it shall return to you tenfold. These are new and dangerous times, gearhead. We got to look out for each other. I'm Dave Despain. We're going to see you next week at 11:30. Bye now.